For pads, I usually like to use multiple layers. So in this case, I'm going to create a low layer and then one layer that takes care of the higher frequencies. So for the low layer, we are just going to start with an F, draw that in. I usually start with a very rich sound and then I tame it down to the point where I want it to be. So I'm gonna start with a sine wave as our basis essentially for this sound. And then I'm just gonna activate oscillator 2 and 3 as well. And to sort of widen the frequency spectrum, I'm gonna pitch one of them up 1 octave. And I'm gonna give them both some unison. So we also get some width in this sound. And the higher pitched one gets a bit more detune and a bit more voices. So then I'm gonna essentially tame the higher frequencies again, route everything to filter 1. Then as for effects, I'm just gonna use a compressor to bring certain frequencies up again, also some distortion. And maybe at the end a bit of reverb, but for this one, not too much. And in between, maybe another filter to, again, get rid of the high frequencies. And now to get a bit of more movement in there, I'm gonna use some modulation on the drive of the distortion. Not too much, but just so the sound isn't too static. And I want it to evolve slowly, so let's just bring this one down. And maybe also use another LFO to modulate the highs on the compressor. And they can also modulate the mid band here. And maybe have the highs boosted slightly. The mid band can be reduced, and then maybe also use a different shape here than with LFO1. Also reduce the tempo on this one. So that's okay for me for the low layer, and I'm just gonna duplicate this actually, because I don't want them to be too different. And in this case, I'm actually just gonna pitch the oscillators up. So give this one and this one 2 octaves, and this one actually 3 octaves. Maybe get rid of this, get some more highs. We can also increase the unison on these two here. Actually, maybe even give this one a bit of unison. Change this one into a low cut. Increase the mix on this one a lot. Also maybe a lot of size, reduce this here and also make it a bit longer. Depending on what kind of direction you want to go with this sound. If you want to increase tension and make it a bit more dystopian, we'd start detuning stuff. We can actually use the unison, use LFO3 on this one, also reduce the frequency maybe. We use LFO2 on the unison of this one and LFO1 on the unison of this one. And if you want to push this a bit further, then we can also just use another LFO and actually detune some of these oscillators against each other. Just use LFO4 for this, maybe minus 0.9 for this one. Then maybe on this one, use 0.9. So now both layers together sound like this. And we can also try implementing a few different notes for this. And actually maybe let's use legato on this one. So just go to both instances, reduce the voices here, and let's enable the glide here and do the same for our second instance of this. And now these should glide. Let's copy this down here and then just see what this sounds like. Actually copy this. On the second instance of Vital, we can just use an EQ as well. just to make sure, because we already have a filter engaged within Vital. Now we can actually just turn this into a short loop. Maybe this one. Put something in there that's driving it a bit more and gives it a bit of a pulse. Something like this. Just going to use the utility plugin to turn the volume, all of this down a bit. So for the 2 Vital instances, and then maybe put some other elements in there. Maybe something like this. Use the attack on this one and also give it a bit of reverb, quite a bit actually. And compress it. Maybe put an EQ in front of this. Put a short riser at the end here.